Good morning, everyone. My name is Anna Fadden, and I have the pleasure of serving as the newest deacon to this congregation and member of the executive team. Cindy Malley has lovingly referred to me as the baby deacon. I use she, her pronouns. I wanted to call your attention to actually 3 items, none of which are in the community matters. So the first one is the warranted meeting is going to be October 22nd, Sunday, October 22nd, right after the service. So please mark your calendars. We're hoping that's in community matters next week. There is a Littleton road race right out here. All vehicles in the area need to be moved before noon, so please be aware of that. And because of that road race, Thea is moving the teacher training that was supposed to be happening today to online, and she will send an email about that. And, just make sure to go back and read your Community Matters, which is chock full of great events and activities. Please remember to silence your phones or put them into worship mode. And welcome to church.
Our call to worship, the words of Poet Laureate of Washington State, Rena Priest. From darkness, the idea of self, blood, water, and soul. My body, a brief victory over death, by making breath. Thoughts and actions in a series of moments expressed. A cup filled with bliss and the movement of breath, pulling itself into emptiness like water between stones. Disappearing, how quickly it goes. I leave with my breath, I return with my breath. And I understand the tides. They are spun in currents by the exchange of breath. For kisses branded on flesh, we claim each with each, join names to our tongues, weld out memories to breath. In our chest, each moment dies for the next, singeing shut the spaces between each allotted breath, smelting our lives first into glitter, then into ash, in this breathtaking glimmer above death, where we make breath. Let us worship. I'd like to invite Sierra to come up and light our chalice this morning. And as Sierra lights our chalice, please join with me in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Good morning. Welcome to First Church Unitarian in Littleton, Massachusetts. I join with Anna in giving you a warm welcome. And if you are new with us, we welcome you especially. My name is Lara Hoke, and I'm so happy and lucky to serve as the minister of this incredible congregation. If you are here with us for the first time in the sanctuary, I hope you'll join us after the service. Just follow us out into the vestry for fellowship and refreshments, and you can get to know some of us or ask questions if you wish. If you are online with us for the first time, I hope you'll go to the website if you haven't already, fculittle.org, and you can find a lot of information there and ways to contact us as well if you wish. Today, we are in the last day of the Jewish holiday of Rosh Hashanah. It ends at sundown tonight, so happy Rosh Hashanah, Happy New Year to our Jewish siblings. And also, I wanted to let you know and remind you that our lay pastoral minister today is David Butts. David back there. So if you have a pastoral concern today and you wish, you can speak with David or seek out one of the other lay pastoral ministers, or me, of course, if you wish. Okay, let's start by singing with hymn number 16 in the gray hymnal, "'Tis a Gift to be Simple," and the lyrics will also be on the screens. I invite you to rise in body or spirit. Please be seated.
Can you hear me? Ooh, you can, because even I can. Is it going to stay? Yeah. All right. Hi. Good to see you. So today's story is a Caribbean story, and it's called Circles of Hope. Everyone brought a gift for baby Lucia. Vasily sat high up on the mango tree and watched. It was the only tree in the whole dusty mountaintop. Papa had planted it for him when he was born. A strong tree protects timon, small children. Papa said. Now Papa worked far away in the city. Vasily had no gift for his baby sister. No small gift. He ate a juicy, sweet mango, licked his sticky fingers, and thought, Papa is not here to plant a tree for baby Lucia. He studied the large white pit of the mango and knew what his gift would be. Carefully, he held the mango pit and climbed down from his tree. With a rusted tin, he dug a hole in the dry earth. He placed the seed in the hole and gently covered it with dirt until only the tip was showing. Vasily walked in the hot sun with treeless mountainsides to the stream in the valley. When he returned, his arms shook with the weight as he removed the bucket from his head and poured cool water over the seed. After many days, the seed began to sprout. But when Vasily came up the mountain with water, he found only an empty hole and the neighbor's goat blinking stupidly. Look what you've done! Vasily shook his fist. Once again, he had not even a small gift for his new sister. How can I plant a tree that will grow strong? Vasily asked his cousin Solvab. You must make a fence of cactus, said his cousin. So Vasily planted another seed, and this time he protected it with the stalks from the kambalab. It's a cactus. Dark gray clouds piled up behind the mountains. An early rain came crashing down the dusty mountaintop. Vasily danced in the puddles. Lucia laughed. But when he went to check on his sister's tree, Vasily could not believe his eyes. Gone, he cried. There was only a piece of cactus fence, and beyond that, a lifeless seed. Vasily asked Mama, how can I plant a tree that will grow strong? But Mama was worried about Lucia, who was very hot. Lucia was not eating, and she did not laugh at Vasily's games. I must take Lucia to the doctor in the city. You will stay with Tonton. Then, before she carried his sister down the mountain, Mama said, you must make a step to plant Lucia's tree. Vasily dug a flat step in the mountainside so the rain could not steal the seed. Again, Lucia's tree began to sprout. Vasily waited, but Mama and Lucia did not return. Then one day the men in the village made scrub fires to clear the land for planting. At night, the sparkling flames crisscrossed the mountain. The smoke stung Vasily's eyes. The next day, Vasily saw ashes as he walked through the yard, and when he got to his step, he cried, "Oh, none!" Lucia's tiny tree had turned into black twisted stick. Lucia had been away for many weeks, and Vasily still had no small gift for his sister. Vasily helped Tonton clear the many white stones from their garden. He watched the path for Mama and Lucia, but they did not come. I cannot plant a tree that will grow strong for Lucia, Vasily told Tonton. Espere, Tonton said. You must have hope to plant a tree. Vasily shied, shook his head. Too many stones. Stones did not make a gift, and stones did not protect a small child. He tossed another stone into the garden, into the pile, and then he had an idea. One after another, he piled the stones up. And up and around, he built the wall, and when he was done, the circle of stones was nearly as high as his waist. Vasily began to have hope. He climbed inside the wall and scraped a hole in the hard earth. One more time, he planted a seed for Lucia. He carried water and watched and waited, and finally, Lucia's tree began to grow inside the circle, It changed from a tiny sprout into a large brown twig with leaves. One day, after many months, Vasily saw Mama come slowly up the mountain. Lucia came too, and Papa. Vasily ran to meet them. "What's this?" asked Papa. "A tecado," Vasily explained, "for Lucia." "A gift of hope," Tonton said. Papa looked inside around the wall and smiled. "A strong tree will protect our small child." Inside its circle, Lucia's tree grew tall. It clung to the mountainside when the soil around it was being washed by the sea by the rains. It grew too big for the goats to eat, and it escaped the fires set for the clearing the land. Lucia grew strong too. She and Vasily played in the branches and sat in the shade of her tree. They shared the sweet mangoes. They carried water up from the mountain and cleared more rocks from the garden. And slowly, 1 year at a time, little circles of hope began to grow on the mountainsides of Haiti, and in each circle grew a tree.
About once a month, we share our offering plate with a worthy charity organization. And this is a Share the Plate Sunday. Today's Share the Plate goes to the Hawai'i Community Foundation, the Maui Strong Fund. And to speak on their behalf is Fadden.
Morning. On August 10th, catastrophic and deadly wildfires swept the western area of Maui in Hawaii. 97 people died and 66 people remain missing as of today. The historic seaside town of Lahaina, which was once the capital of the Kingdom of Hawaii, has been largely reduced to ash. Strong 70-mile-per-hour winds caused by Hurricane Dora hundreds of miles away caused the fire to spread so rapidly that there was virtually no warning. 9/11 services went out, no warning sirens sounded, and there were water shortages for firefighters. The evacuation routes were jammed with traffic, and many people died in their cars. Others were jumping into the ocean to escape from the flames, smoke, and heat. The invasive grasses allowed fire to spread more quickly, and the down power lines that stayed live ignited some of the flames. It's an unimaginable scene. So many people have lost their loved ones, their home, and their livelihood. In terms of my personal connection, I have 13 work colleagues from Sungage that live on the Big Island and on Oahu, as well as a friend from Massachusetts that moved to Maui 5 years ago. The Hawaii Community Foundation for this month's Share the Plate was recommended by both my Hawaiian colleagues as well as the UUSC, the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. The Hawaii Community Foundation is providing financial resources to support the immediate and long-term recovery needs for the people and places affected by the devastating fires. HCF is working in close collaboration with state and county leaders, nonprofit organizations, and community members to get an understanding of the quickly evolving priorities. The giant banyan tree in Lahaina, the oldest and largest banyan tree in the world, was damaged but not destroyed in the fire. This gives the people of Maui hope in terms of rebuilding for their future. Please give as generously as you are able. Your check can be made out to the Hawaii Community Foundation. Please put Maui Strong Fund in the memo line. If you are joining us online, you may donate online or mail a check, and the details of that are in this week's Community Matters. Thank you for being a caring congregation.
In addition to any checks, any cash that you put into our place this morning will also go to the Maui Strong Fund. This morning's offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation. Please join with me in the words of our response. We are grateful for the opportunity to give and serve, and grateful for the gifts we have received. May this affirm the ministries of our church community, both within and beyond these walls. Most weeks, this congregation has a time that we call the Candles of Caring. This is a chance to feel once again our deep connections to one another and that which to us is holy. And it's in this spirit that you're invited, if you have an important joy or concern, to share with this gathered beloved community, to do so. We're going to do it in a slightly different style this morning, although it's a style that perhaps you've done here in the past. Our worship associate is going to put the microphone up for you. And I would ask that if you have a candle of caring, that if you are able, that you line up on the sides and come up to the candle when it's your turn to share. And if you need assistance or if you want the microphone brought to you, you can raise your hand and we can do that as well. And for those of you with us on Zoom, we ask that you raise your hand in the reactions area of Zoom and you can share as well. We ask that you start also by giving us your name and then briefly let us know how we might direct our thoughts, prayers, and healing wishes. So I invite you now, if you are in the sanctuary and you have something you'd like to share, to begin to form lines on the sides. And I'll go ahead while people are getting ready and ask if there's anyone on Zoom who has their hand up. Once again, we have come together in love and trust, sharing those cares dearest to us with this gathered beloved community. Let us hold in our hearts and thoughts and prayers all those joys and concerns shared this morning, spoken aloud, as well as those left unspoken, as we share together in a time of sacred silence. Blessed be, and amen. Just last week, I was talking with some friends about how apocalyptic these times feel. There's, of course, the recent and still ongoing pandemic, the global climate crisis, with signs of it in our extreme weather reports all the time, the seeming rise of fascism in the United States and other places around the world too, on and on. And I try to comfort myself with the reality that every generation seems to think that it's living in the end times. Is that comforting, though? Is it really comforting that it feels a bit like the end times, and it always has? These are the times that try men's souls, wrote Thomas Paine back in 1775. Indeed, these are the times that try our souls. One of the things I very much appreciate about the younger generations among us, probably starting with the millennial generation, is that they're willing to take a look at the hard topics and ask the hard questions, but they're also very sensitive to the feelings and sensitivities of others. The younger generations, compared to us older generations, seem to have been, from almost day one, imprinted with this mindfulness that certain topics can be very difficult for some people. There are topics that are triggering, as they say. Set off difficult reactions, possibly even causing harm or traumatizing people, whether they have PTSD or are just very vulnerable around certain issues. And so it's become probably more and more common to see people give trigger warnings or content warnings, or to just post at the top of the Netflix video, for instance, what the difficult topics might be. And it's common to see these on social media as well. You'll see CW for content warning, and then the poster will tab down a few spaces so that if that's a difficult topic for you, whatever that might be, you can choose not to see those words and read that post. Now, some folks, often the same folks who don't like political correctness, will mock this practice and similar practices, calling those that need special warnings or those who provide the special warnings, calling them soft or snowflakes. Personally, if trying very hard to protect the vulnerable makes somebody soft or a snowflake, then I want to be a soft snowflake. So there's, of course, this critique then of trigger and content warnings. And of course, they're not perfect, but clearly they're provided with a good intent, whatever the impact might be. But I'm not really here to debate how good these warnings are. I appreciate them personally and the intent that they represent, but I bring them up because they remind me about something I just recently learned about. And it's something I first saw mentioned on social media. And of course, once you notice something, you see it everywhere. And what I'm talking about are what people sometimes call glimmers. And if you can show the next slide, this is the very first post I saw on Facebook, actually, that drew my attention to this phenomenon. It says, "Have you heard about glimmers? They are the opposite of triggers. A glimmer is a tiny micro moment of happiness, a sign of hope. Once you begin to look for them, they will start to appear everywhere." So today, I'm giving you a glimmer warning, because you're going to start to see glimmers everywhere if I'm successful. And this isn't just a hippy-dippy woo thing, in case you were wondering. There's actually science involved here, for those of us who like science. I won't go into great detail, even if I could, but it has to do with the polyvagal theory of the autonomic nervous system. Exactly. So we mammals have this system. And so the term glimmer was coined by Deb Dana, a licensed clinical social worker who wrote the book in 2018, The Polyvagal Theory in Therapy. So the basic idea is this, that mammals, including humans, evolved in such a way that our neurophysiological state responds to our environment. We're ultimately looking to survive, right? This is how we evolved, if you believe the theories of evolution. So we're trying to determine when there's something dangerous in our environment, or whether the environment we're in at that moment is safe. And when we say we're triggered, we're essentially saying that we feel profoundly unsafe, and a fight or flight sort of lizard brain has taken over, and it's hard to be rational when you're in that state. Our brain and nervous system throws us into fight or flight. We want to run away, or maybe we want to get violent or belligerent, or maybe we want to just shut down as a way to run away. And it's so powerful when this happens that it feels beyond the so-called higher brain functions, beyond the place of rational thinking that so many of us pride ourselves on. On the other hand, when you are glimmered, if you will, it's the opposite effect. Our brain and nervous system responds to something, a cue that we get, that we are profoundly safe. We get that warm and fuzzy feeling of comfort and well-being, and we want to rest. It tells us to relax. It might even tell us to engage with others. The body needs rest and sleep and nourishment and human engagement just as much as it needs to avoid dangers. So both triggers and glimmers serve a purpose, and served a purpose in our evolution. Just as everyone has different triggers, everyone has different glimmers. But there are some common places where many of us are aligned. There are obviously some dangerous things that would trigger just about any of us. I don't care to trigger us, and so I won't name them. But there is definitely some alignment around glimmers that probably most of us would feel as well. For instance, I would think that most of us would experience that glimmer sensation from a beautiful sunset, or the sight of someone we love looking at us and smiling, or the smell of one of our favorite foods wafting in the air, or the sound of gentle rain on the roof. For many of us, these would be sensations that cued a feeling of safety and well-being. And it makes sense, again. A beautiful sunset might mean favorable weather. Red skies at night, sailor's delight. Someone we love smiling at us means an ally is nearby and they seem to be doing well. Pleasant food smells obviously bodes well for our survival. And gentle rain on the roof means that good things will grow and we have shelter. All is well. You get the idea. Sometimes one person's glimmer can be another person's trigger. That's part of the reason that, for instance, Mother's Day or Father's Day can be such loaded occasions. When I think of my mom and my dad, I smile, but I know I'm lucky that's not true for everyone. So it's always good to be mindful, like those younger generations are so good at being mindful of those different experiences. Still, many of us do get glimmers from raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, and bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens. Any of your other favorite things, with apologies to Oscar Hammerstein. Glimmers can be a source of resilience and connection, so I want to help you think about them today. To wet your whistle, I'm going to share a couple of my own glimmers and name them with just a little tiny bit of detail because there's a fleeting, very specific nature to these glimmers. The word glimmer sort of implies fleeting, really. It's that burst of micro joy, a passing flash of something heartwarming. So for instance, I wouldn't say that my dog Diggory is a glimmer. He is joy itself. The glimmer for me would be the sounds of his tippy-tappy little feet on the floor or his little tags jingling. The glimmer for me would be the smell of coffee brewing in the morning, the feel of my wife's hand in mine, the sound of a train whistle in the distance, looking off at the horizon of the ocean with a loose gaze and seeing a little bump and wondering, was that a whale? Those are glimmers for me. So I want to help you look for glimmers and set your own glimmer intentions. Deb Dana, who coined the term glimmer, also coined the term glimmer intention. She says that what we've discovered is that as you begin to see a glimmer, you begin to look for more. It's just what we do. And we then delight in finding them. And she goes on, that's your nervous system beginning to shape toward patterns of connection that are inherently waiting there to be deepened and brought alive. So she encourages us to set glimmer intentions. And for instance, she says, you may decide, I'm going to look for one glimmer before lunch. And she thinks keeping a journal or writing them down is a good idea too. And perhaps even finding a friend to share your glimmers with, which she says helps to bring them alive. So let's start by discovering some glimmers. One of the best ways is, of course, to have that intention to look around, to open your ears for them, perhaps just sniff and smell and see. So let's help each other. I shared a few somewhat specific glimmers, and our worship associate Rich has a microphone ready. Does anyone have a glimmer or two that they'd be willing to share to help others? And Rich will come around. And if you're with us on Zoom, you can type it into the comments. Would that work for you? Okay.
My name is Aurea Fost, and I have blooming in my yard this size zinnias, about 10 of them, all different colors. You know the good, wonderful colors. It was my mother's favorite flower. It was the flowers on our wedding, at our wedding, and the plants were given to me by a friend. So that's like 3 or 4 glimmers.
Right. Thank you.
My glimmer is stepping out our back door and in any weather and looking to my left into the garden, which is at any season full of incredible color, especially in the warm weather months when we have zinnias and dahlias and roses and all manner of blooming plants in front of a very large vegetable garden with squash and cucumbers and peas and beans and tomatoes, etc. And then the final glimmer on this glimmer fest is knowing that it all is made possible by the person I love most in the world, my husband, Bill.
Thank you.
The rising mist from a roadside meadow at 7 o'clock in the morning when I'm riding my bicycle by it. And can I give a quick second one? The smell of toast in the morning when I come down into the kitchen and Laurie's already there.
Rainbows, duh. But in particular, on the day we buried my dad, we were back at my parents' house, and I was crossing the street with some flowers, and this huge rainbow was there, and I ran in, and my cousin and my mom and my sister, we all stood there holding hands, just knowing this was Daddy, saying that he was okay, he loves us. And now I have crystals hanging in my living room, so when I come down on a sunny morning, there's rainbows splashing all over the living room, and I just stand there, and I let my parents just bathe me with love.
Or rainbows on the back of a car as I'm driving on the highway, or the little equal sign from the Human Rights Campaign. And I know there's a like-minded person driving that car.
My glimmer glimmers It's a campfire, and it's a super uber glimmer when I see the faces of the people I love on the other side of the fire.
I have a glimmer to share with everyone today. I was out greeting people as they came in, and one of the entities that wanted to come in was a dragonfly.
My biggest glimmer is driving down the road and seeing horses on the side of the road.
Well, this year, what we thought was a stick that Carol planted maybe 15 years ago blossomed this spring and now is full of apples. And I look at that tree and it's like, it's not supposed to be planted there. We thought it was going to die, you know. We're getting all these apples.
Pets certainly have their way of giving us glimmers, and even though my dog had some issues with getting cruciate ligament surgery, still last night after we came home, being out, he managed to go into his little happy prance, doing circles in the middle of the living room, welcoming us home.
My glimmer would be coming here every week. It just shines all week long for me, just what I get from being here. When I hear your sermons, the sermons that are preached here, they make me glimmer all week long. And it's just such a special place.
Our amazing moon, be it full or just a little sliver, it just fills my heart. And speaking of hearts, the hug heart, the swirly hug heart icon.
Anyone from Maine?
Yes,
You hear
but
me?
you want to do Zoom now or one more in the
You hear
sanctuary?
me?
Okay, more from the sanctuary?
Hello?
Just
Hello?
my little cat curled up and looking at her little toe beans.
Hello? Can you hear me? Oh.
Just hearing one of any of hundreds of pieces of music that I love.
Neela, go ahead.
Okay, I didn't know whether the Zoomers were going to be called on, but I just got an email, which was a glimmer for me, from my husband, my ex-husband, saying that people born between 1930 and 1946 who are still alive comprise just 1% of the total population. So for any of you in that category, that's a glimmer for you.
I'm flooded with glimmers every day from the awakening of my little 2.5-year-old granddaughter's mind as she expresses herself in language and now starts telling these amazing stories.
One or two more, if there are.
I had a glimmer yesterday. I talked to my cousin Bobby. Bobby's a little younger than me, and he was in the medical field. And I've been postponing this phone call with him for 6 months. And we had a wonderful talk. And after the conversation, okay, little history, he kids me fearlessly, like whenever we're together. It's like one tease after another. And after I was off the phone, I looked at Phil and said, Bobby didn't tease me. And I felt really safe and listened to, and it was really important.
Any final
Leslie?
glimmer? Oh, there we go.
Leslie, can you hear me? Go ahead.
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
I have two glimmers. One, I just talked to a friend of mine the other day, just out of the blue. She and I don't communicate easily or quickly. And I found out she is in Taming of the Shrew in Boston in a professional show. She's playing Petruchio, and that's the male lead. And she's an African-American woman, and I just think that's awesome in so many ways. And it was the first play I was ever in, so I can't wait to go see it. And the other glimmer is anytime I hear my son's name.
Tano.
Don Tano, any of them. Thank you.
Any others from Zoom?
Anyone else on Zoom? Thank you.
So thank you for sharing just a few of your glimmers with us. And we can share and spread glimmers to each other and give each other this gift of multiple potential glimmers of hope to brighten our days. We know that we need each other to survive and even more to thrive. And these are the times that try our souls, but these times are loaded with potential too, as we continue to reinvent our world. We have so much good we can do and share with each other and the world. So let's be resilient, loving, and that caring community that we are, and help heal the world. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Our closing hymn is in the teal hymnal. Also, the lyrics will be on the screen. It's 1029, Love Knocks and Waits for Us to Hear. And I invite you to stand, rise in body or spirit. For our closing words, if you wish, and if the person next to you is comfortable, you can hold hands or touch feet or elbows or shoulders, or simply put your hands up and feel the energy between us and with those who are with us virtually or with us online. Friends, it is a gift to be simple. The best things in life are free. This magical, mystical world abounds with glimmers, just waiting for us to notice them. They knock and wait for us to hear. May you notice the glimmers, bring the glimmers, share the glimmers. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.
And do you want me to make you host? All right.